those of you interested in EVs, we are driving a 2015 Volt. Typically the range is anywhere from 60 to 75, 80 kilometers in the summer months. It's been a little bit cooler. It's 21 degrees now. When we left this morning it was much cooler. As you can see, we've had a range of 66.5 kilometers on our battery for this trip, as there's been a number of hills, and that's an advantage when you go downhill, but it saps a little more power when you're going uphill. Typically on this battery you should get about 10.4 kilowatt hours of range, and you'll see that we've actually managed to squeeze out 10.6 in total. We've traveled 214.8 kilometers so far. As I mentioned, we're just outside of Bancroft, coming up from the Aurelia area, and we are averaging 3.82 liters per 100 kilometers for our fuel economy. And that's because you'll notice gas, the little blue, we've been running our generator to generate our own electricity, which is really nice. We're not having to stop like a pure EV is going to do, having to stop and charge along the way. We've been able to continue by burning a bit of fuel. This morning we picked up about 28 liters, and I will show you over here that currently we have about 390 kilometers in range left on fuel for the generator, and that's about 3/4 of a tank, which is really nice. For our American friends, or for those of you that prefer miles per gallon, you'll see we're averaging 61.6 miles per gallon. However, when you look down at our lifetime is 88.9. So little video update on our trip to Ottawa in our Chevrolet Volt. We will check back in at different points and give you some little updates on the Volt trip, as well as sights along the way and in Ottawa. Hi everyone. Thought I'd bring you a quick little update, especially for those of you interested in an EV. We're currently driving. As you can see, we have no electricity remaining, and as we're driving right now, the little center gauge, if you look, will tell us whether we're generating power or using it, and whether the generator is running. So on the right hand side you'll see there's no bar. That tells us the generator is off. We're running on full EV even though it says no range. On the left you'll see when it's a green bar, we're harvesting energy, also shown by our center stack, or when we start on the pedal it is taking energy away. And that way, as you notice, the generator's just kicked on. You probably don't even hear it in the video because I barely hear it as the driver. So now we're generating our own power, but I thought I'd give you this quick update. So as you're driving along, even though you have no electric range in a Volt, there will be times that, because it's been harvesting as we're doing right now, the generator will turn off and take some of that battery power that it has harvested and run a little while. And that's why you'll average out at a better fuel economy, because it's still running on battery. Now, for those of you that are new to the Volt never uses 100% of its battery power. GM has set that on, this is a 2015 model, so a 2015 model has a little over 17 kilowatt hours of battery, and in our earlier video I showed you that we've only used about 10.6 kilowatts. GM has set this battery that it'll never use more than 3/4 of its battery power, and that is done on purpose because as you use the car and the car ages, you're never fully draining the battery of its power, which actually makes the battery last longer, gives it longer longevity. It also gives you a little reserve that if you really got yourself into trouble, ran out of battery power, ran out of fuel, it'll then tap into a bit of that reserve to get you to a gas station, to get fuel, or to get you to a charging station where you can charge. So for example, what you can't really see is we've been going up a number of hills here, and the generator's been ramping up to generate power, plus it's pulling a little bit of battery power. In the Volt, you can look at your power flow diagram and you'll notice it's pulling battery power even though it shows the battery is 0, and from the engine. When we come off, now we're going to go downhill, you'll notice that we're starting to harvest electricity by the green bar on the left. The generator's running, but it's likely going to stop if this hill is deep enough that we'll keep coasting. That generator will kick off and stop burning fuel. So I thought I'd just do this quick video to give you an idea. If you are not used to a Volt or a number of EVs, give you a better idea of how the Volt runs as you're running up and down some hills and on the road with no electrical range left. Take care. Hey everyone. So we are getting ready to leave Ottawa. We have a quick stop in Ottawa to make, and then we're going to head back to the Simcoe area. You'll see right now electric says 70. It was actually 71 down in the parking garage, but coming up the inclines just took a little bit of energy away. And gas-wise, we have about 233 kilometers. So we have a total range of 303, and you'll see that on the left side of the screen. Here you'll notice we've traveled 0.2 of a kilometer, used 0.1 of a kilowatt hour, 0 liters of fuel, and our fuel economy is 0 liters per 100 kilometers right at the moment at the beginning of the trip. Along the way, and when we get back to Simcoe, I'll give you an update, because those kilowatt hours are really a key as to how much is being consumed, regardless of what shows over here in electric mileage. It's the full usage of the kilowatt hours you want to make sure you're getting through, regardless of your driving style, to make sure you're getting maximum range out of your battery. We'll talk a little more about that when we get back as well. So we'll check back soon. All right, so we have arrived at Simcoe, and I just thought I'd show you the screen here, what it looks like. So if you're in the market for a Volt, you need to know that it is a true EV, runs on a battery, powering electric motors, but it has a backup generator that burns fuel to make its own electricity to drive the motors. That way you can get a longer range without having to stop and recharge, stop and recharge. The other advantage is being a smaller battery. You can go to a hotel, for example, plug into a regular wall outlet, as we did last night. The hotel didn't have a level 2 or level 3 charger, so we took our plug that comes with the car, 110 volt plug, plugged it into a wall socket, and overnight it was fully charged for this morning. Now, we didn't get as much range today. We were fighting some fairly large headwinds all the way back from Ottawa. Plus, when we left this morning, it was about 10 to 15 degrees, depending on the exact time, as we tried to efficiently use the electricity at different points in time. And I'll explain that. The 2015 Volt has a hold feature, which means you can run some electricity and then say, oh, I'm hopping on the highway, let's put it in hold mode, and it'll run the generator rather than consume the electricity. So at the higher speeds, more efficient to run on fuel, and then use the electricity at lower speed to get better range. Now, fighting the headwinds and the colder temperatures, you don't typically get as much because you've got to warm the batteries and heat them. So today we managed to get 60.3 kilometers. We did 359.9 on fuel for a total of 420 kilometers for the trip. Now, as I mentioned, if you look over here, you're going to see that the electricity we used is 10.6 kilowatts. As I mentioned earlier on the way up to Ottawa, the Volt should be on a full battery, getting about 10.4 kilowatt hours of consumption. So we did a little bit of hypermiling today and got an extra 0.2 kilowatt hours. And you'll see we were fighting the headwinds. We consumed 21.88 liters coming back from Ottawa. It's amazing how much, strong winds can create so much resistance for a vehicle, because on the way to Ottawa, we only consumed about 16.75 liters. So basically 17 liters, 4 extra liters coming back. I'll flip this over in a second for our US viewers. So for our Canadian viewers, that's 5.21 liters per 100 kilometers from Ottawa to Simcoe. And our lifetime has gone up a little bit. Now, for our American viewers, when we do that switch, 37.4 miles on electricity. The total trip is 261 miles. We averaged 45.2 miles per gallon. I will admit that I wasn't quite at the exact posted limit, because there are some sweet spots for traveling and you've got to go with the flow of traffic. And our lifetime average is 88 miles per gallon. So if you're in the market for a Volt, this will give you a little idea. One big key, as I mentioned, when you look at the Volt you're looking to purchase, look at how many kilowatt hours were used. This is a 17.5 kilowatt hour battery, but GM will not allow the car to use the entire 17 kilowatts. You're only allowed to use about 3/4 of the battery. That puts us in that 10.4 sort of range approximately. I hope this video sequence has been helpful, helped explain a little bit about kilowatt hour usage, EV usage, and battery and gas usage for a Volt. If you have questions, put them down in our comment section. If you like the video, click the like button. Appreciate you taking the time to watch this video series, and I'll look forward to comments. Thanks. Take care, everyone.